Coming up on Friday's Locked On Ole Miss Podcast, we look at some of the players we're looking forward to seeing in this year's early signing day class. Stick around.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Friday's Locked On Ole Miss Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good time today. Today I really want to get into a little bit about the signing class and talk about how the players that I'm looking forward to seeing from the high school ranks moving in. We'll probably do things portal related whenever those break, but for the high school, we're going to give them their due and their time, so we're going to talk a little about them. First, the stars of the class, and there's really two, as far as getting recognition and actually mountains of a man, great players, all of that is Xavien Harris and Jared Willis. Also, before we get started, thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss Podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, including YouTube soon enough, as soon as that hits what's going on. Also, today's episode is brought to you by NetSuite. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system to power your growth. Head to netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA for special end-of-year financing and for the #1 financial system for growing businesses. So that's netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA. So, wanted to take a couple of days to think, what am I looking forward to? What am I want to see from Ole Miss? Sorry about that. And what is something that could be, expected whenever we can think? Because Tashim Johnson, I was on him last year since December, from early signing day all the way through the season. He started, he played most of the games. Great player, freshman All-American. Or freshman All-AC. I don't know if he's freshman All-American, but great player. And, Caden Costa, great player. So, one thing that we need to know is, like Xavien Harris, he is the perfect fit for the nose guard and in the 3-2-6 defense. So, he's going to fit in and give them flexibility on the outside, whether it's Cedric Johnson or Tavian Robinson or Devon Clowney, those guys sitting on the outside, Taiwan Malone, who is going to step forward this year. So they're going to provide some depth on the defensive line to go with KD Hill. And that nose position is an occupier. That KD Hill freed up Chance Campbell to do a lot of stuff that he wanted to do, because the other A-gap player is going to be the middle linebacker. So Xavien Harris is going to fill in and have a vitally important role in this defense. Basically, head up on the center, bringing it every game. The come off and get offs has to be really good. But if you do that, you have a chance to open it up for other players, such as your linebackers playing right behind you or your defensive ends out below. Now, the 3-2-6 defense, everybody talks about the 3-2-6, and it reminds me a lot of people back in the day talking about the 4-2-5 when Chuck Driesbach was the defensive coordinator, and then the 4-2-5 became the standard four-man defense in college football, much like the 3-3-5, which was run by Joey Dunn back in the day, became kind of a standard. But it's all about trying to stop these spread offenses, so you need more and more athleticism on the field. Could you picture what it would look like if somebody came out there in the wide tackle 6 playing defense? It's kind of funny to see with all these big lumbering guys out there. Back in the day, the thing that caused Nick Saban to grow and to start what's going on was him seeing that his linebackers and these great athletes that he was signing were liabilities against this offense. Gus Miles and Hugh Freeze exposed him several times. And because of that, he decided he needed to change. And their defense has changed. The way they play is a little bit different. Now, there's a little bit of combo zone coverages that he actually believes in from his time in the Cleveland Browns and Michigan State that he's grown up. That's going to be the same, but the nuts and bolts is going to be a little bit different. Now, the 3-2-6 is essentially a 4-2-5 replacing the 3 technique for a defensive back. That's the defense. So the nose is still going to be there, but if you move the 3 technique out and replace him with a DB, most likely a box safety. So if you move him, basically put an athlete out there and move them 3 to 7 feet out to the right or on the left, you would kind of have what this is, because he was replaced by one of the box safeties. And I use box safeties all the time. That's the position that Jake Springer played. That's the position that Tashim Johnson played. And it's imperative in stopping the run game in this light box defense. Now, everybody looks at the Ole Miss box. It's like, Ole Miss has 4 guys in the box. Why isn't teams just running the ball down their throat? Well, the reason is this defense is designed to give offenses and quarterbacks that do counting, because counting and spread offense has become so easier. So it forces them to make a certain call on the run-pass option. But here's the kicker. It might look like 4 players in the box, but there's actually 7 or 8 players allocated to the run game on a particular play. You have to fly up, and you have to tackle really well, and you have to be hyper-aggressive. And as you can see by the defense that we signed on signing day, that's kind of what they're going to do. That's what their plan is. And because of that, I'm pretty excited about, how the defense is going to look moving forward. Tyler Banks and Jaron Willis at linebacker. Those are these Chance Campbell, Mark Robinson type players that were so good this year. These are players that you get for an extended period of time with them. And because of that, you can develop them. They can see things. Now, you have the portal to go along with it. Like Ladarius Tennyson from Auburn committed to Ole Miss. And he is probably going to be the replacement for Otis Reese. I don't think he's going to be Jake Springer. I think he's more Otis Reese at this point. Now, everybody says, well, what's the difference? They're both physical guys. Yes, they are absolutely physical guys. Otis Reese is a little bit better in coverage than Jake Springer. Now, Ladarius Tennyson at Auburn has been coached by Derek Mason, and everybody knows how good Derek Mason is as a coach, playing safety. He is an excellent run-stopping safety. So that's what I mean, the Otis Reese thing, the physicality moving forward. But he's also been drilled really well at coverage. So he might not be an expert coverage, but he is probably going to be pretty good as a box coverage option. Whenever you have a 3-2-6 with the 2 box safeties, that's a 7-man box basically. You can drop those box safeties out for slight coverage into the flat, whatever's going on. He'll be able to handle that. And he doesn't have to work with these super elite wide receivers and things going on. It's a very small area. So I think Ladarius Tennyson can pull that off quite well. Now, there's other transfer portals that players that Ole Miss is looking into. Like I said, they're trying to get in the game with the quarterback from Arizona. Dylan Gabriel is still a possibility at quarterback. We'll see what's going on with that. Now, here's the deal. Like, everybody saw yesterday that the number 1 player, according to some service, although it probably dropped down, signed with Jackson State. And everybody's like, okay, NIL is terrible for college football. Well, you think it's terrible because the kid's doing what he wants to do, and he can do what he wants to do. There's avenues for him to do what he wants to do. That's why you think it's terrible. If he wants to go to Jackson State and play, all their games are on available and can be watched on streaming services. The NFL is going to be able to see it. And if they know to look with Deion Sanders, they'll be able to find that kid. So if you go there and play. But everybody's talking about this shift in paradigm dealing with college football and NIL and what's going on. I think NIL is going to be blown out of the water, and people are going to promise the moon for 3 years until they realize all the money's not there. Because remember this with NIL. You either have the ability to raise money for facilities or NIL or whatever's going on. It's a finite amount of money. So you have to choose what you're going to invest in. And eventually there's not going to be people investing $1 million a year in NIL. They might at the beginning, but it's going to go away. It's going to dry up. And if it dries up, all of a sudden what they were promised is lied to. So it is a very, very important that Ole Miss handles NIL from the beginning. Very straightforward and honest. Because in 4 years, when this dries up and it all changes and it kind of regresses back to the mean, Ole Miss is going to be highly reputable as a school, as opposed to a school that promised the moon and couldn't deliver. It's definitely a situation where they will overpromise and underdeliver. Always underpromise, always overdeliver. And if you do that, you're going to be in good standing. So that's the way I look at NIL, is I think that the market is going to take care of this. Because people throwing money right now, yeah, that's all great, but that amount of money, at the end of the day, random booster one or company one would rather go on a vacation with their family to the Bahamas as opposed to do this. So whenever that money gets tight, they're going to stop giving it. That's just the way this works out. Just the way this works out. All right. When we come back, we will kind of hit superlatives. I want to talk a little bit about Quinshawn Judkins. He's one of the favorite players of mine in this class, and I'm really looking forward to that. And looking forward to talking about him. This is it, the putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours, but on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software? To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite, and right now, through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program to those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/lockedonnca. Head to netsuite.com/lockedonnca for your special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. That's netsuite.lockedon. That's netsuite.com/lockedonnca. So you give those guys a good look. They're the #1 cloud financial system that will help power your growth, and basically it's a pretty good deal. So give them a call, netsuite.com/lockedonnca. All right, BetOnline has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for sports action all this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2021. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. Pretty excited. What's going on? Well, everything. I want to talk a little bit about Quinshawn Judkins in a second. But first of all, I want to thank you again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Make sure to check out the Ultimate College Football Preview 2021. Local expert betting advice and draft analysis. Most comprehensive college football playoff preview begins this Friday. I will be participating in that with Josh Neighbors to talk about the Ole Miss Baylor game whenever I have it. I will let you know for sure. It might be something that airs Monday. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll try and figure that out and figure out how I can set that up there for you. Still trying to figure out all this locked on stuff, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So I am really excited about Quinshawn Judkins. Like, he is the most criminally underrated player in this class. If you look at him run, he reminds you so much of what TJ Yeldon did at Alabama. And this is a kid that has the speed and quickness, especially lateral quickness, of Jerry and Ely, and the size of Snoop Connor. This is a kid that's going to develop in college and have a chance to be really, really special. Now, I'm not saying Ole Miss doesn't need to go out and try and get Zach Evans or whatever's out in the transfer portal. They probably do, because I think that either Jerry and Ely or Snoop Connor is probably going to either go to the NFL or transfer portal. However it looks, I'm expecting something to happen in that room. I don't necessarily think something's going to go on, but I am expecting something to happen in that room. It's like the quarterback room. I'm not really worried about Luke Altmaier. I think he can handle that job. I just want Ole Miss to go out in the portal and get somebody to have as much competition in that room, because I remember and was in the stands in Memphis in 2004. And, Michael Spurlock, God bless him, had a great 2003, all the build up for 2004, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And to actually talk about a guy that was born years before his time, can you imagine if 2012, if Michael Spurlock was playing quarterback? That's a completely different animal than 2004. It's a completely different animal. But anyway, talking about Quinshawn Judkins, I am very impressed with that player, him as a player. He's just a 3-star. He's an upper 3-star, but he probably should be at least a 4. He's one of those guys, whenever I explain to people that the star system in college is, whenever you're doing these recruiting things, everybody knows what a 5-star looks like. Random Joe Public can go out and watch a high school game and pick out the 5-star. Some of the 4-stars are like that as well. But most of the 4-stars and a lot of the 3-stars are very system-specific players. They're not bad players. They wouldn't be recruited and signing scholarships if they were. But they're just players that are designed to play in a certain system, just the way it worked out. And they would struggle mightily if they were in a system other than what their strengths are. That's what makes them a 3-star. A 5-star would go from system to system and it would be seamless. Like I said, the random layperson can just look at the 5-star and tell who they are. But a 3-star is a little bit different. It's about systems and evaluation. This is where evaluation from the staff means something. Somebody like Tyler Banks out of Crew, Virginia, Nottoway High School. There's not even a picture on his profile. He's 6'1", 240. He's a linebacker. He's a very athletic guy. If you look at his huddle film, it's great. He's a little bit of a tweener, though. He's somebody that you look at and you're like, okay, is that guy this type of player? Or is he a 3-4 guy or is he a 4-3 guy? He's not. He doesn't necessarily look like a 4-3 guy. He looks like one of those lumbering 3-4 guys that Alabama used to do back in the early 2010s. But, as we've talked about earlier, those type players have been marginalized over the last 10 years. So, this guy's a little bit of a tweener. He's a guy that's going to probably grow into a Sam Williams type role. But, since not many teams play the 3-2-6, those wide edge rushers, not many teams do that. There's not a place for him. But he has a chance to come to Ole Miss and be a legit star and be legit good. He's a no-star player on On3. He's a 3-star on most sites, and he's just underranked because people are scared because of his size and what he would have been 10 years ago. Now, the evolution of college football over the last 10 years has been palatable. And if you understand that, what's going on, you can understand exactly how to get a player. Tyler Banks would have probably ended up at Alabama, at Auburn, at Georgia, if it was 10 years ago. But as college football changed, so did the height weight requirements, the size speed requirements ratio of college players. And there's not many systems that can fit that void. Because like I said, he's a tweener. He's in between middle linebacker, because you want those guys now to be at about 225 pounds, because you want them to be able to cover these big lumbering guys like, unfortunately, like Momo Sanogo or Lakia Henry. They have trouble in this defense. Defensive line, you want him about 260. Well, here's a guy 6'1", 240. So we'll see what he does. But I'm expecting him to come out and perform quite well. I'm looking forward to Tyler Banks. And I'm also looking forward to Jalen White. Jalen White out of Arkansas, he's another tweener type guy. He's a box safety looking guy. 6'2", 200, he's a 3-star. But, you don't have rankings for a box safety. You just have rankings for a safety. Now, there's not much film out there because he played quarterback in high school of him playing defensive back. So, as a true free safety, yes, he's probably the 1,081 player in the country. But as a box safety, which only 4 or 5 teams run, he's actually quite good because he's 6'2", 200. He can run a 4.5 40. He's going to grow basically into a 210, 215 pound extension of a linebacker that's going to be one of these true hybrid players. He's a tweener, but in this defense, he fits. That's what's important about this defense. That's what's important to realize what's going on with this defense. Yes, have you heard about Built Bar? That's Built Bar. Basically, it's a tasty treat that tastes like a candy bar, even better than a candy bar. It's a Built Bar. It's built with so much holiday goodness, rich and decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, and net carbs, along with fat. It's also high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing. Will you have raspberry or mint brownie or cherry or double chocolate? So many different things are available for you. You friends with Santa? Tell Santa to throw a few Built Bars into those stockings with so many flavors they'd make anybody's Christmas morning a happy one. Go to Built.com. All right, and you still have guys like today. I'm recording this on Thursday, by the way. We're still waiting to hear from Bryson Harris. We're expecting that to go through, no problem. And we're still waiting on Davidson Igbuson or whatever. He's top defensive back from New Jersey. Chris Partridge doing a little work there. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what they can do. It's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. And because of that, you just are excited about the possibility. Now, these aren't stars that I'm telling you about. These are just players that I think you need to know about, because recruiting rankings are from a time back with Mel Kiper when there were 1, maybe 2 systems of football. There was the West Coast system and there was the Parcells system. It goes back to the Mel Kiper draft expert whenever he started ranking players. So they started to want to do that for high schoolers, for college. So everything was built around that system. Now, over the years as it evolved, it's tweaked a little bit. But as more and more systems became prevalent, you kind of lost the ability to just kind of put people in a neat, tidy little box. So a 3-star might be an excellent, terrific player in one system, and in another system they could fall flat on their face. It's the importance of the transfer portal, if we're being honest. It gives these kids an opportunity at a mulligan. And the most important thing on early signing day is to finish in the top 2. You want to get the player, but then you got to keep them happy. Now, if you've overpromised and you're going to underdeliver, it's better to finish second in that race, because they're going to remember you. They're going to remember you were up front. and they're going to transfer to your school. This is all about playing the long game and trying to figure out how to early adopt. That's what's going on, because we have an early adopter as a head coach. But this is trying to figure out how to early adopt. Anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Next week we will talk, I guess, pre-Christmas type shows as we keep going through this. Remember, once we start the new year, I expect this to be a live show. It'll be on 11 a.m. Eastern every day. You can tune in, you can participate in the chat, all of that good stuff. That's what I want to do. But until then, I'm going through radiation right now, and once I get done with that, I can concentrate on doing a live show, because doing a live show is a little bit of work. So I'm actually doing this live to tape as we speak, just to get used to doing it, because there's elements that need to be in certain places that don't really fit in. But thank you very much for the first week of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Next week, hopefully more of the same will be there, and we will talk a little bit more about Ole Miss football. We got the Ole Miss game versus, I think, Dayton Saturday. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about what's his name? Bryson Hurst potential signing that could happen at any moment. And we will continue to follow the portal. So thank you very much for listening. Tune in next week, and, of course, hotty toddy.